For months, Malaysians have been engaged in a guessing game. When will Prime Minister Najib Razak call elections? The latest opinion polls show Mr Najib remains widely popular, and he's been splashing money around in a pre-election spendathon. Nevertheless, the opposition is declaring its confidence that it can win more seats than ever before, pointing to its record in the states where it holds office. Guan is Chief Minister of Penang and Secretary-General of the opposition Democratic Action Party. He spoke with Jim Middleton.
Chief Minister, it's very good to talk to you.
Thank you.
The Prime Minister, your Prime Minister, Najib Razak, has been teasing us for some time now, since late last year, with the prospect of an early election. How soon do you, the opposition now, expect to be going to the polls?
Well, we expect polls to be called probably in June or July. And it will be very interesting because this is the first time that voters will have a real choice. A real choice between the present government or the alternative. That is the Pakatan Rakyat coalition as headed by Anwar Ibrahim. And I think this will be, well, a game-changing elections for Malaysia.
Mr Najib says it will be a challenge for the government to get a clear majority. On the other hand, the opinion polls suggest that he personally is more popular than ever. This seems to be something of a contradiction. The two cannot both be right, can they?
Well, he may be popular personally, but it's not translated into popularity for his party. If this was a presidential elections, I'm sure this would be a very different situation. But since you have to vote for the political party, he can't be everywhere. So I think it still boils down to the issues, which party can offer real change to the people.
You suggested this election will be a game changer. Is Mr Najib a more formidable opponent for the opposition than was Abdullah Badawi back in 2008?
Definitely. I think he's more focused and ruthless in achieving his objectives. So I think it will be a very tough battle, but at the same time, as I said, it offers the voters a real choice.
You won around 80 seats last time. You prevented the government for the first time in getting a two-thirds majority. How well will you do at this election? Do you think you can achieve a majority?
Well, I think that's the big question mark hanging in the air. But we feel that even if we do not make it this time, I think the election after next would definitely see a change of government. And principally because when you have new voters coming up and new voters have a strong yearning for change.
I have seen you quoted as saying that you could get around 100 seats and that if you did, defections from Barisan Nasional, from the government, would enable you to take office. That sounds very similar to what the opposition leader said last time round, where he predicted that defections would hand him the prime ministership. Why would it be any different this time? Why would it be any easier this time than it was last time when it didn't prove to be the case? Actually,
when I said that it would be enough for us to win 100 seats, I did not mean that there would be crossover or defections. What I meant was that in the event, if we win 100 seats, UMNO would implode because of factional infighting. And following that implosion, there would be a need to call for earlier elections because there are too many contradictions and too much self-interest at play.
You've been Chief Minister in Penang since 2008. I gather from what I've seen that you've been trying to practice what you preached in terms of economic policy at the 2008 election. In a nutshell, what impact has your decision to abandon the practice of preferential treatment for Malay business interests had on the economy of Penang?
When we first took power, we felt that we had to implement international norms. We practice governance based on CAT, competency, accountability and transparency. And of course, this is translated into open tenders, public declaration of assets of top officials, as well as public disclosure of government contracts signed with private companies. And when we implemented open tenders, we were accused of sidelining Malay contractors. But we believed that Malay contractors can compete on merit. And I think the results have proven that open competitive tenders have not sidelined Malay contractors. 70% of the contracts were actually won by Malay contractors. I think the difference is that it is not Malay contractors who are not competent for securing government contracts. It is actually UMNO contractors that were incompetent.
And what about in budgetary terms, in terms of attracting investment and so on to Penang? Has it had a definable, a quantifiable impact on your budget and on investment within the state?
Yes, when you have CAT governance, competency, accountability and transparency, open tenders helps to save costs and also ensure good management. And that, of course, is very good on your budget. We had record budget surpluses every year since we took power. And we have also increased our cash reserves by almost 50% to 1.2 billion ringgit. And we have cut down our debt by 95%.
If this has been such a success in Penang, why then are other governments in Malaysia not following the same principles? Surely economic success is its own reward.
Well, for PR state governments, I think they have also recorded similar successes. But for BN governments, we feel that they are too entrenched in the old ways, based on cronyism, based on closed tenders, as well as, of course, on opaque governance. And whilst they may see these successes for us, I think they look at it with complete horror.
One final subject, the controversy over the rare earths plant being built by an Australian firm in your country. Why has this become such a significant national rather than merely a regional issue in Malaysia?
Green issues have never really taken off in the past, but with a greater political consciousness amongst the young, I think green issues are now coming to the fore. So when Lynas plant was approved in near secrecy, many Malaysians were not aware of the negative impact from the processing of rare earth. And when they finally discovered what was actually happening, there was an unprecedented movement amongst ordinary Malaysians to oppose the Asian or the rare earth plant. And we can see that there are grave concerns, especially in terms of storage of the waste, and the refusal of the government to address these concerns have only exacerbated worries that the government is putting profits before health.
Why don't you accept the assurances of Lynas Corporation that the waste from the plant is not hazardous, it is low level radioactive, but they also say that it can readily, easily be recycled for commercial use? Why don't you accept those assurances?
Well, the big question that most Malaysians are asking is that if you get or if you extract rare earth ore from Australia, why can't you process it in Australia? Why do you have to go halfway around the world to Malaysia? Isn't it more costly to do so? And the fact that you cannot process it in Australia, or you are not allowed to do that in Australia because of environmental concerns, when Australia is a couple of 100 times bigger than Malaysia, I think that gives rise to doubts on your assurances of safety, as well as that it is healthy for the local population. We have little trust in the assurances of the federal government, and when they don't have a record of delivering their promises, and much less when you talk about companies whose bottom line is always profits.
Chief Minister, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.